love
French chocolate makers are developing a revived passion for raw chocolate. Hailed as a new superfood, can it prove popular amongst consumers?
Gabriel Chatelain paid a visit to one of the restaurants in Paris to find out more.
It looks like traditional chocolate, but it's not. It's raw chocolate. Chocolate maker Rémi Henry developed a taste for it 2 years ago.
This chocolate was made with unroasted beans. They're uncooked.
Drying the beans naturally preserves much of their original flavour.
This chocolate has a different taste. When made properly, it's fruity and suave, not acidic or bitter.
Many consider raw chocolate to be a new superfood because it retains all the benefits of cocoa and is said to contain 5 times more antioxidants than traditional chocolate. The new wave comes from Anglo-American chocolate lovers and goes against everything French manufacturers have practiced since the 17th century. There's still some debate about raw chocolate's nutritional benefits, but here at the recent Paris Chocolate Fair its success was obvious, and some makers have set out to bring the new taste into the mainstream.
I heard about it and I really wanted to try this unroasted chocolate. It's interesting, I like it.
It's a denser taste, richer and thicker.
The flavours are plain, spicy coconut and Darjeeling tea.
The new thrill comes at a price. A 100-gram bar knocks chocolate lovers back about €8.
It's expensive because production is very small, but also because the fermentation and drying time is so much longer than for traditional chocolate.
For now, the world's large food companies have ignored raw chocolate, but its defenders hope for early success among gourmets and perhaps the organic-minded. And then they hope to take a bite at the chocolate mass market.
That's incredible. Well, I love a bit of chocolate, me. I've got to say, I'm not particularly classy.
I can tell.
You can, right? I'm not necessarily after the classiest stuff, but I'm always interested in finding out more.
You're never after classy stuff, are you? Yeah, that's
This
okay.
guy.
That's okay.
Right, well, our next guest is very classy, and she knows all about the delights of raw chocolate. Chocolatier Theresa Webb has joined us in the studio.
Theresa,
Good evening.
How are you?
Hi, good evening. I'm really well, thank you.
Good, good. Please don't be nervous.
Okay.
So, Theresa, straight away, what's the difference between raw chocolate and the chocolate we'd buy in a supermarket?
Okay. Well, the main difference is that this is made below 42 degrees centigrade. It's a temperature difference. So this is produced up until 42 degrees, as opposed to the supermarket style ones, which are processed with sugar and dairy products often, and also are made above 42 degrees at temperature, which affects a lot of the natural properties in the foods themselves. So, for example, cacao beans lose a lot of their natural flavour and medicinal properties if they're heated above 42 degrees.
Yeah.
And that whole temperature changes the molecular construction of the actual beans themselves. So the nutrition varies quite considerably.
So there is a big difference between your commercially off-the-shelf chocolate with maybe nuts and fruit and whatnot, and this, which is a piece of raw chocolate.
It is, yeah.
And what's the chocolate content? Is it?
This is 75%.
75%.
Ecuadorian cacao.
Right. And we can't eat this because?
It's a large chunk. You can, I think it's...
That's not going to stop me.
It's very expensive. You can't eat it, but I'll take a little selfie of you with it if you like. There you go. How's that? There we go. There we go.
Love it.
You can if you want. If you've been my guest, if you feel like
sure?
it. We kind of suggested that we'd have the smaller ones.
But we've got,
and
we've
this
got
one
some
is
smaller pieces to taste
Can
later.
you then bring the... There's no point telling me here we've got little pieces to taste when they're not even here.
So have a smell of it. What do you think?
But if you're inhaling it, because it also contains carob, which is a natural bean. You might be familiar from like Turkey in the Middle East. There's carob trees, which is really rich in copper and magnesium.
Oh wow, that smells incredible, doesn't it?
Okay, so you should be able to. What should I get from when I'm smelling it?
You should be able to smell the theobromine, the chocolate, which is the tree is called Theobroma cacao in Latin.
Yes.
And it's the theobroma properties which have a natural uplifting property to it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, we've just been given the go-ahead. We can taste some of this stuff. Would you guys all like to indulge a little bit?
I'm first.
That's a big chunk, Tony. Tony, you've got to box. You've got to train for boxing. You've got to take it.
Don't fight with him for this.
That's brilliant. So, I mean, is there a rise, I've got to ask you, Theresa, in demand for kind of more quality chocolate, more kind of more highbrow stuff, just a classier approach. And we were talking about quantity earlier as well. You don't need to consume a large quantity of this to get the benefits, do you?
No, that's right. You're absolutely right. It's a really strong, rich product, as you're saying. You know, you can get a lot of the antioxidant properties and everything from it just within a small amount. You find that sort of less is more if you're wanting to feel quite
let's
lifted.
make that very clear. Did you just say that chocolate can be good for you?
Certainly.
Go nuts, everybody.
This is good for you. This contains rose oil, which is also very good for the heart, and it's a natural aphrodisiac as well.
But I mean, with this, you wouldn't be able to eat too much of it because it's really an acquired taste. Whereas whenever you get off the shelves, I mean, you can probably gorge a whole packet because it's just excessively sweet. There's tons of milk in it and whatnot. But this, I mean, really, you would probably. I mean, how much should you eat, really? I mean, in order to maintain, I suppose, or make the most of it being a superfood and get the full benefits from it?
Yeah, I'd recommend probably up to about 60 grams would be ample.
Okay.
Which is in a small piece is probably about a bit more than that per day, for example. It's it can be quite antidepressive in its way, so people use it like that.
What do you think, Tony? Do you like it?
I like it. Yeah, it's not. There's no taste to it, but it's
quite bitter, isn't it?
No, but it's
got a lovely texture.
Yeah, texture. It just rolls through the tongue and the mouth and the gullet.
Yeah. It's nice. I'm eating it. I'm continuing to eat it. It's not sweet, certainly, is it? It's definitely not sweet. Reminds me a bit of Turkish delight. It's got a kind of a. It's not savoury either. There's something about it.
Kind of got that aftertaste of Turkish coffee. I don't know if you've ever had Turkish coffee.
Never had Turkish coffee.
Never mind. Yes, I'm just talking to myself. It's absolutely fine. Now, this is wonderful. How long have you been in, I suppose, the chocolate business?
For about 6 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
I make different blends and different types of pieces.
And what made you get into chocolate?
Well, this is largely the thing that comes back to the sweetness side of things. I had a dietary concern, a bit of a health crisis in 2002, 2003, which radically sort of changed the way I looked at food and my lifestyle, and I changed my diet quite rapidly.
My goodness.
Into having more raw, organic foods and living foods, and becoming vegan actually as well. So I started excluding eggs and dairy products, which meant that as a recommendation for my health condition, as it were, which meant that I became much more aware of the lack of products around at that time in the market for something like this. And if you don't have sugar in your diet, for example, if you have to, if you're diabetic or whatever it is, if you don't have any processed sugar and you don't have that kind of thing, then something's got to give. You think, I still want something that's nice, that's sweet, that's chocolatey. So when you're saying, it's got a different sweetness, a different palatability to it, it depends on what you're used to in a way.
Exactly.
And if you're used, like 9 years later of not having any processed sugar at all, you notice the sweetness in things and natural fruits. But this is just a plain variety, I must confess.
That's fantastic. I'll tell you what, just stay with us, Theresa. We're going to talk more about this very, very shortly.